Raise your hand if this is the first time ever in the building. You guys don't count. Okay. All right. So my name is Dr. Darren Schmidt, and this is my business, the Nutritional Healing Center of Ann Arbor. So I started in Ann Arbor in the year 2000, and this is technically my fourth expansion in this building in 18 years. So here we have 5,200 square feet. We've been here for 2 months. And so the purpose of the practice, I'm a chiropractor. And in the mid-90s, when I was in chiropractic school, I went to a lot of seminars. And I was trying to find out stuff about healthcare, because I grew up on a farm, just an hour south of here. And so I didn't know much about healthcare. My family still is healthy, pretty healthy. And so what I did in chiropractic school was I went to a lot of seminars. I went to 2 seminars a month for 2 years. And there was one in particular, it was a nutrition seminar. And I left out of there thinking, I want to be a chiropractor who focuses on nutrition. So if you go back even further, I spent 17 years working on a family farm in the summertime and sometimes holiday weekends. I started working there when I was 9. So I really learned a few really good lessons, like to work. I learned how to work. And I learned you have to get the job done. So if my dad told me to sweep a greenhouse, he could come back a half hour later and see if it was swept or not. So I remember in 2005, I quit insurance. And I was filling out these insurance forms beforehand, and they would ask me, how long will the treatment last and what will be the cost? They never once asked me, will the patient get better? And so that's the purpose of healthcare is to actually get people better. And here I was being paid by insurance companies, and they didn't care. And so, when you get paid by somebody, they're your boss. So the insurance companies were my boss, and I'm like, I quit. So I broke away from all the insurance companies November 1st, 2005, and we've been in cash practice ever since, which puts us into a unique position where we actually have to get people well, because they're paying cash out of pocket. So there's that. So my dad is, I think he's 75, and he still works on the farm. He started there when he was 4, so he's been working 71 years in the same place. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Anyways, there's that story. So I graduated from chiropractic school in 1997, and in 1998 I went to a particular seminar where they incorporated muscle testing, which is what I'll demonstrate and explain tonight. And when I saw it for the first time in 98, I had seen it before, but not really understanding what it was, about 2 or 3 times in the previous 5 years. And in 98, I saw this guy demonstrate on stage the muscle testing, and it completely blew me away. And I was sitting in the front row, and I had to back my chair away from the desk, and I put my head in my hands like this, oh my God, I gotta learn this. I gotta really be a master of this, because this is how you x-ray vision into the body to find out what's going on with the body, and then how to fix it. In December of 98, I learned another technique. These are 2 separate muscle testing techniques where the patient holds their arm out. And in December, I studied that particular technique so hard for that month it fried my brain. And I had to take supplements to repair my brain. That's how intensive I was studying it. And I basically did it almost every day for the next 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2000, 5 years. I was practicing for 5 years. And there was one year of those 5 years where I was accepting new patients. They would fill out their paperwork. My front desk girl would, at the time I only had 1 employee, and now I have 25. And she would compile the file, and I would take the patient back, do the muscle testing, come up with my conclusions, and then there's a chair right here, and there's a chair back there. Where was I? So I took the patients back, and I took my notes as I was doing the muscle testing. And then I would open up their file for the first time and read what their health condition was. And I was trying to see if the muscle testing would give me enough information without having talked to the patient first. I did this for a year. And I was getting some good answers. And there was one time when I was testing a kid, his mom was in the room, and I found fungus in his body. And I made a joke, a kind of a joke that my dad would make, because we used to grow 350 acres of sweet corn every year. And with sweet corn, you got to harvest it and ship it. So there's times when sweet corn was rotting in the fields, or it was frozen in the cooler because it wasn't being shipped. And he would say, we have so much sweet corn, it's coming out of our ears. Right, like an ear of sweet corn. So I said to the mom, your kid has so much fungus, it's coming out of his ears. And she jumped from the chair and ran over and pulled his ears back and said, yes. And there was this cottage cheese looking substance behind his ears. And so at that point I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to do muscle testing for the rest of my career. Because it's such a useful tool, it's so inexpensive, there's no expensive radiation imaging, there's no invasive knife cutting, and it's simple, I just have to be good at it. So being a good muscle tester, that's a technical job. You can be a good technician and get some answers. And I was a very good technician in muscle testing for a number of years. So like 2004, I learned another technique and I did that for 10 years straight. And I taught it for a long time. And I'm saying to my audience, you don't even have to think. Like I have the patient, like, you know, like let's say I have 50 doctors in the audience and I have somebody up here and I'm pushing on their arm and I'm saying you don't even have to think, and I'm testing as I'm talking, and then boom, the arm would go down, and then I would grab various supplements and figure out what was going on. That was being a technician, and we got good results there. But I didn't get the results that I was absolutely wanting, because you can always do better. So for a few years, a couple of years, I was struggling with wait a minute, what am I missing here? And a couple things came into place. Number one, I had a friend recommend to me to take an online course from a guy named Nassim Haramein. He's a physicist. And this is like 3 years ago, 4 years ago in the wintertime when it got to like -15 3 times, and one time it hit -30. What are you gonna do, go outside? You know? And my girlfriend lives in Chicago, so I'm like in my house by myself, studying physics from Nassim Haramein. And he unified all the physics. There's theoretical physics and classical physics and quantum mechanics, and there's all kinds of different physics. And he unified all of it. The unification of physics was something that Einstein couldn't do and Maxwell Planck couldn't do. And you know, I have a series of physics heroes that I could rattle off, but the point is, Nassim Haramein did it. And he still teaches it, and he was one of those guys that was horrible in school. He never went to college, and he was a downhill ski instructor. And then he quit that. He made a bunch of money, quit that, moved south, and lived in a van for 5 years, studying physics. That was his life. And he had all these geometric designs all over the inside of his van, so he'd wake up in the morning and see triangles and shapes and stuff, and then come to conclusions. But when I learned that, he came up with a theory called the holofractographic universe theory. So that theory best explains muscle testing better than anything else I've ever seen. Now I'll show you some simple things that have to do more with electrical or physical changes that occur with the body when you do muscle testing. But it's fields. And so, and you'll see as I do the muscle testing, I'll take something like this, which has its own field, and then I'll add it to a person's body, and now we have maybe an interference between the two fields. Okay, so going down the fields. I did a video on Nassim Haramein and his unified theory, and it's like an hour long. It's on my YouTube channel. It's like from 3 years ago, and I talk about it one other time. Out of 250 videos, I just did 2 videos on physics. So it's a kind of the solutions that Nassim came up with are the kind of solutions that would revolutionize the physics departments in every university around the world. And he predicted the size of the proton at one point using his math. And then a few months later, there's that collider that's in Europe where they smash particles together and they measured the size of the proton. And they were off by 0.00001 factors compared to Nassim's theory. And so Nassim nailed it. He said they're actually wrong. They mismeasured that proton because my theory is right. So anyways, there's that. So another thing that happened was 2.5 years ago, I got black mold poisoning. And it was in my lungs and in my heart, and that's why we're here in this building, because the other building had the black mold. And it was behind the wall, it was in the drywall behind the paint, so you couldn't really see it. And I started having some chest pain and some palpitations, and some paint had chipped off the wall around this windowsill. And then there's this black behind the paint, so I took a paint scraper and I, chip off as much as I can. It's just all black. And that window had been leaking for a number of years. So, but what had happened was, my first symptoms were October of 2015, but it wasn't until October of 2016 when I found the mold and realized this is it. Long story there, but in the middle of all that, I had taken some supplements that helped me feel better. They didn't address the black mold. They helped me feel better, and within 2 days I knew I was on the right track. So then I had to figure out, what did that person who designed those supplements, what did he know that I don't know? Well, those supplements were designed in 1934. And the guy was Dr. Roy Lee, and his company still exists. It's called Standard Process. So I started reading those old articles from the 1930s through 1961. His articles, he wrote 2 a month, and he published a newsletter called Vitamin News. So I read a bunch of those articles. And I read those articles 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. I've been to dozens of seminars put on by Standard Process. But there was one article in particular that I read, and it explained the mechanism by which I was suffering. And that's the mechanism of chronic disease, lactic acidosis. I'm not going to go into details about that. I have plenty of videos about that. But so then 6 months later or more, actually it was from February to October, so that in that length of time, I was still kind of suffering, especially when it was humid outside. I spent 2 weeks in Florida, which is like America's basement, and my heart was palpitating, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack, and I don't know what's going on. I actually had an EKG that was abnormal, and the report said possible MI, myocardial infarction, but it was all black mold. So now I've known about causes, so throughout my career I've been trying to figure out what's causing bad health. And there's the obvious, there's pathogens, and there's sugar, and there's heavy metals and chemicals. And then there's symptoms that arise from organ dysfunction. So you can have heavy metals in the toe, and now you have toe pain. You have heavy metals in your brain, now you have Alzheimer's. Or you can eat too much sugar, and that's affecting your low back, and now you have back pain. So those are cause and effect right there. And the cause is affecting the organs. The organs give you symptoms. So that's what I have here, right here. Okay, and everybody has it? Okay, good. So causes, mechanisms, and then symptoms right here. And notice that this is a circle and this is a circle. It's like a track on a tank. Then you got this whole big circle that goes around the whole thing like this. So I put this together by necessity and by contemplation and experience and application. And so I was like, and I started teaching a class that was a year ago, which you attended, all of them. And I came up with the name Follow the Physiology, because that's what we're doing. This is the physiology. So there's people that do healthcare because they attended a weekend seminar and they like that thing, whether it's a massage technique or it's a vitamin D, they learn something about a nutrient or an exercise, or even in the medical world, they learn a surgery or they learn a drug, and that's their career. But does it follow the physiology? Because we're trying to treat the human body, and we're sticking with biochemistry. I don't get into emotions. People are sometimes surprised to hear that, but if the brain's not healthy or the thyroid's not healthy or the heart, name the organ, you could have grief, you can have anger. So you can, treat anger? No, you treat the organ. You get the body healthy, and then emotions work out okay. So now, in 2016, when I learned about lactic acidosis, as I always do, I kept studying other people And there's a cancer researcher named Thomas Seyfried. He gave this great interview, and the bottom line is, regarding cancer, it's all lactic acidosis. And then I found some books from the 1930s, the father of endocrinology, Henry Harrower. He says diabetes, and all those doctors back then, diabetes is lactic acidosis. And fibromyalgia is lactic acidosis in the, that modern diagnosis. And anxiety is lactic acidosis. And then the father of holistic psychiatry, Abram Hoffers, he called it the sugar disease, right? That's lactic acidosis. So I started counting up all the conditions that are lactic acidosis. It was, in my count, it was 86 or 76, whatever. It was above 70, and I quit counting. And then about a month ago, I found a resource online, and they counted 70 something. Some of them were genetics, some of them were toxins. But maybe there's 150 diseases and conditions that are driven by lactic acidosis. So this is what everybody's been missing, but everybody between 1920 and 1961 were trying to fix it. They're all trying to fix lactic acidosis, and as I read, I have a big stack of old nutrition and medical textbooks. You can see through the decades they said, oh, they need potassium, or they need this, they need that, and they're kind of like fumbling around. What they were missing back then were toxins, like mercury and chemical poisoning. They were missing that. And they were missing a lot of pathogens. And they may have been missing sugar. Now, back in 1925, how many people had too much sugar? Not very many people. I mean, heart attacks were just first described in 1912, I think it was. Okay, but then came the Great Depression, and now you have people that are so poor they can only eat white bread. That's all they had was white bread. So those people had excess sugar, and they got lactic acidosis, but they got diagnosed with beriberi, or they had whatever. But the point is, it's still the same mechanism. And then after the Great Depression was over, now we're talking the 40s and the early 50s, the nutrition was fantastic. So the point is, back then, sugar wasn't so much an issue like it is now. Now the discovery of mercury toxicity, that was in the 80s. That was Dietrich Klinghardt. So, and now we have more chemical poisoning now than ever before. We got Roundup and all the tens of thousands of chemicals and plastics and agricultural chemicals and all that. So, and the mercury fillings in our teeth for heavy metals. And of course vaccines injecting heavy metals straight into the body. So what I did basically is like knowing what we know about causes in the modern times, combining that with lactic acidosis being the mechanism prior to 1960, just put that together. And that's what the physiology graphic is. And then, so what else to say about that? Causes, it's the symptoms. Okay, so focusing on this last one right here. So when patients come to me, they say, I got this symptom. Then I'm thinking with all three of these, and I have to like pull back and say, all right, and I start doing this muscle testing procedure, which I'll do quickly here. And I start looking for, is it sugar? Is it pathogens? Is it toxins? And it could be biomechanical. So I'm a chiropractor, so I can fix the spine. I got Dr. Vickers that works here. And then another minor cause is a scar. Scars can cause problems, but that's minor. So I wrote 3 main causes and 2 minor causes. 2 mechanisms, lactic acidosis is one. So lactic acidosis is too much lactate in the body, and sometimes the blood, the blood is acidic. And sometimes the blood is acidic. It doesn't have to be acidic, but it just means that the blood is poisoned. It's dirty blood. So if you go to a doctor, holistic or conventional, they say, oh, you need thyroid support. You need liver support. You need to treat your brain. What about the blood? The blood circulates around 3 times every 60 seconds. And if you keep feeding the thyroid some iodine and the blood is dirty, you're missing the most important organ. It's the blood. So that's lactic acidosis, dirty blood. So I'll give you quickly how this works. So you have dirty blood. It's hypoxic, not enough oxygen, too much toxicity, and that makes the arteries dilate. So the body's trying to get blood to the cells and oxygen to the cells, so the arteries dilate. So now what happens is, you're not running, you're not exercising, but here you got arterial dilation, the blood slows down. The little capillaries that feed the cells get engorged and stagnant. So now the cells are starving because they can't receive oxygen, and they can't dump their waste into the blood, which is already toxic in the first place. So capillary engorgement leads to cell starvation, leads to cell death. So if that happens in your heart, your heart muscle cells die. If it happens in your brain brain cells die. So you get heart symptoms, chest pain, quivering, heart attack. You get brain symptoms, that's the bipolar, that's depression, that's anxiety. So pick an organ. So when I have black mold poisoning throughout, black mold raises up lactic acid or lactate, it raises it. So I was having chest tightness, pain here, down the arm, up the jaw, anxiety here, esophageal spasm, nausea, my feet were swollen, my blood pressure was up, my pulse was up, I was cold. My temperature usually 98.6 or higher, it dropped down 2 degrees to 96 point something. That happened twice. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So I go home and sit on my couch, January of 2016, hoping not to die. And then I'd come back to work, and I work in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where I'm breathing in the spores. And so I have a mold doctor that I go see. He's an hour north of here. I saw him on Monday. He said Stanford did a survey or a study. 70% of buildings have enough mold in them to affect the humans that inhabit those buildings in the United States. 70%. And I got a patient, he's 80 or 81, he's been remodeling homes for his career, still works. He says the mold is usually in the bathroom or in the kitchen, it's behind the cupboard, you gotta pull the whole cabinet away from the wall, and there it is. It's usually black, sometimes it's gray, sometimes it's green. And I said, well, what percentage of the homes have that? He said 70%. So, and that's a separate, not that he reads Stanford, but that's his experience. Okay, so when the patients talk to me about, hey, I got this symptom, then I say, all right, well, and I try to talk about the cause, and then I mention lactic acidosis, and they're saying, but my foot. And I gotta bring them back to here, and bring them back to here, and then they drag me back into here, which is totally appropriate, because there's some doctors who say, well, you need coffee enemas, you need to breathe more, you need to meditate, you need to drink more water, and they're just blah, 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 but they're not even focused on the symptom either, right? So it's all three, okay? And so most of the time I'm here with the causes. This is not that hard to treat because of standard process and the way they design their products. And then this becomes a puzzle. Right here, all these symptoms will take you down in a rabbit hole. And you can get lost right here. Okay, but when you're treating the cause and treating lactic acidosis, then a lot of symptoms go away on their own. All right, good? Let's follow the physiology, that's the deal. This is what every healthcare practitioner should be doing, in my opinion. And it's not like this is a fad thing, right? This is 90 years of medical nutrition research. I just rediscovered it, and I read the modern literature on lactic acidosis, and it completely misses it. Like, it was solved in 1934 with nutrients, but at the hospital there's people 3 days away from dying. They have severe lactic acidosis, as measured in the blood, and they're given baking soda, and it doesn't work. And that's what the research says. It doesn't work. Well, the point is you gotta clean up the blood, and it's all nutrients. It's all nutrition. You can't, there's not a single drug that fixes that mechanism of chronic disease. It's all nutrition. Okay, so let's talk about, any questions on that before I move on to the muscle testing? Okay, so raise your hand if you learned something. Raise your hand if you got overwhelmed. Did I say something that was like too much? What? Yeah?
I'm a newbie.
You're a newbie? Okay. All right, well, it's all on YouTube.
There will be a test.
Yeah, so what I want to do is demonstrate this on a willing participant to come up here. Yeah, come on up. I'm gonna pull this out of the I'll test you standing. Alright, so face this way. Kind of like, let me just come up. Okay, perfect, right there. Okay, keep your feet right there. So have you been muscle tested before?
Yes.
Okay, do you come here?
Yes.
Okay, so hold your right arm up. Okay, so the procedure is like this. Okay, now, and I'm pushing down. Give me a little bit more strength.
More strength?
Yeah, more strength. Okay, that's good. So now out of 200, whatever, 50 or 70 videos on YouTube, I may have one on muscle testing. Like this is, the point of me doing this is to put this on YouTube. I actually need my people to see this. I had somebody fly in from, I think, Denmark, and I did the muscle testing and it was too much for him and he refused all treatment. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is horrible. He flew in from Denmark, and so here it is. This is the muscle testing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is push down and then you match me, and that's all you do like as a patient. So if I push down 10 pounds, you push up 10 pounds. And there's no fighting, you're not trying to wrestle. And take your left hand and put your finger like this, right on the bridge of the top of the nose. Okay, then I'm gonna push down, match me. And that goes,
Match you, I'm sorry.
yeah, match me, ready? Okay, good, now flip your finger around so the back of your finger's on the same spot. Okay, so that they're both strong. Let's do this again. Just use the front of your finger on that spot. Okay, match me. Good, and then flip that around. Okay, match me. So that one's weak. So that was practice. Don't move. You can drop your arm. So one of them was strong, one was weak. So this is positive, this is negative. Now we're getting into the physics and the electricity of muscle testing. And right here, there's a large amount of flow of energy right there. So now you can refer back to the ancient Chinese acupuncture 4,000 years ago, Ayurvedic medicine of India, Native American medicine. They all talked about energy and acupuncture points and that kind of stuff. And it's all measurable. So here is an example of measuring it. There's several ways, but this is an energy ball. And so it's got two metal points to it, two tabs, and there's a battery on the inside. Hopefully the battery's not dead. Okay, so I touch the other metal part, and you can see the light goes on and makes a noise. So touch the metal tab. Yeah, good. Hold your other hand up like this. Good. See that? So we're completing the circuit. Now with muscle testing, it's a circle. Hold your arm out. So it's the same thing. So I'm contacting his thyroid, his heart, stomach, liver, gallbladder, small intestine, and I'm just running through the fields of the organs. I'm also contacting the nervous system called the dermatome. That's a technical term, but the dermatome of the heart, the dermatome of the liver, and I can press a little hard and create a little bit of ischemia. But the point is, I'm drawing attention to the heart and to the intestine and to the thyroid, and we're testing function. We're testing how electrical is an organ. We're not testing for pathology. Okay, so hold your arm up again. So let's say I go to the stomach. There's a soft part of the stomach. Okay, ready? So I push down, and his arm is strong. That's the end of the test. Now, if his arm goes weak, we're pretending, then I know something's wrong there, and then I grab various items, supplements. I got various test kits. Okay, so here's the point of this test kit. So here we have causes. We have toxins, we have bugs, the pathogens, and over here we have lactic acidosis, the mechanism, and then over here we have all the organs. So I made these test kits to match up with the follow the physiology way of thinking. Okay, now if I tested him and his cerebellum was strong, doing this particular testing procedure, all I gotta do is just grab the cerebellum vial, like this. Here it is. Hold your arm up. And I can hold it up against the back of his head. Here we go, match me. And that goes weak. Okay, now I can take, I did a, I'm not gonna do this. Here's another vial. This is liver. Hold your arm up. See, of course it's not gonna show up because his liver's down here. It's not over here. So I put that liver vial there. Now I can, if I put the liver vial here, match me, that's strong. Okay? So I'm just kind of showing you how this muscle testing works. Okay, now let's figure out if I can find something in your cerebellum affecting it. Now, if I don't find anything, maybe it's mold, or maybe you just need nutritional support, and you don't necessarily have something in there. Okay? So having something in your body is usually the problem, and you got to pull it out. This is what medicine completely misses most of the time. You know, like instead of like finding a toxin to remove, they give you a toxin, and that's why 400,000 Americans die because of medicine every year. Okay, hold your cerebellum, hold your right arm up. So what I'm doing is I got some bugs here, I call it pathogens, I call them bugs. So I hold it right up against that field, the cerebellum, and his arm is still weak. Here's two more. And I have bacteria, virus, parasites. I got the fungus. Ready?
Yeah.
So far nothing shows up. That's virus. Fungus didn't show up. So I have a patient who, she bought an RV in Florida and she was going to move to Cleveland for her kid, who had a baby. And she made this transition by selling her house, and she bought this RV. She lived in it for whatever, a year, drove it to Cleveland, sold it. And she came up with this diagnosis called valley fever, which is a fungus. And usually it's diagnosed out west. And so the CDC was calling her, and the county health department was figuring out like what's going on. Well, it turns out it was in the RV. And this fungus was in the RV. She breathed it in, she got sick from it. And she's driving from Cleveland to see me. So for the first 2 months, there's no improvement because I'm treating a fungus. And then I found parasites. And within 2 weeks, she calls me up. She goes, I haven't felt this good in my whole life. So even though her official diagnosis by the medical profession was a fungus, I treated parasites, and that's what got her better. Okay, now, regardless of what it is, we're going to find a solution. Okay? So hold your arm up. Go ahead and touch that. The cerebellum again. Yeah, here's parasite vials. That doesn't show up. And I got parasite eggs. So these are homeopathic representations of the bad things. That's what that is. Now homeopathy is coincides with the holofractographic universe theory excellently. And I have a video on homeopathy. It's the most downvoted video. I get the nastiest comments from people who have been swayed by James Randi, the magician. James Randi, he debunks. He's a skeptic. There's professional skeptics on social media. I don't know if you know this, but they're jerks. And based on no science, they say homeopathy doesn't work. It's placebo. Wait. It's this. There's no science behind it. There's no physics behind it. But it's like I've been using it 20 years. It works perfectly fine. And I did acquire a book called Brass Tacks, written by a homeopath who passed away in the 60s. He explained exactly why homeopathy went down the gutter. It came apart from the inside. There was a group of people that came into homeopathy and they said, we got to do it this way, which isn't the right way to do it. And they destroyed the whole profession. They tarnished the reputation. Okay, hold your arm up. All right, match me. You doing all right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I did some heavy metals, some chemicals, and I'm going to stop right there. Now, of this virus, I got 2 virus vials. Here's the first one. It's not in the first one. I'm sorry, that was the second one. Here's the first one. Try again. Okay, so virus in the cerebellum. Hold this up against, just hold it right up against there. Ready? Okay, so now we're going to see what makes us strong. So we're basically, when you really look at it, we're treating energy, is what we're doing. We're using energy to give us some answers. And so I'm going to grab some virus supplements. Arm up. Okay. And I just hold them up there and I'm looking for the arm to go strong. So this one's strong. And I could push multiple times and it's still strong. So having done that, these two supplements that didn't work, those are herbals. And this one that does work is more of a detox. It's, you can see how it's black. Okay, so it's carbon, it's actually carbon. And it's designed for viruses, radiation, and chemicals. So yeah, Virad Chem is what it's called, Virad Chem Binder. So you need a little bit of virus detox for that.
Mine was Spanish black radish and charcoal on the
Yeah, well this is, so yeah, so you're seeing who, Carrie? Who are you
Dr.
seeing?
Manna.
Dr. Manna. So Dr. Manna tested him and found the need for oregano, which kills things, and Spanish black radish.
That's when I came back a month ago, and yes.
Yeah.
I was looking for your
Yeah,
quick fix for fungal, or black mold here.
yeah. So follow me on this though.
Go ahead.
So you want to kill stuff, and you got to drain out the dead stuff, right?
It's raining.
And then you also detox, and it's drain. And you want to like, then you also have to detox, which is different than draining. So detox is cleaning, drainage is like get it out, just get it out, get it out. So detox can go in deeper. So it's a multiple step
I
process.
feel worse when you're detoxing. A few days last week.
Right. Yeah, so this would be like the third step. So she's got you on the first two steps
Yes.
with the oregano and the Spanish black radish.
self-medicate and don't pay attention to my doctor like I should.
Okay, so from now on though you will, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So, hang on, let me get my thoughts straight here on this. So, Virachem, what else do we need to say about that? Okay, so this is a cause. That's a pathogen. Where's my sheet at? So we're addressing this with what I just found right now. Okay, so, and then I'm gonna take this away. So you can relax. So now on a visit later, or maybe right now, then I'd be looking for, does he have the need for support for lactic acidosis to fix that up? And if he's miserably, maybe he's got maybe a headache here, there might be a supplement to feed the brain, or if he's got cloudy thinking, you know, it's like nutritional support for the organ that's dysfunctional. Okay, so let me do a little bit of that. Okay, hold your right arm up. And I'm just gonna grab, I got a few supplements here designed by Royal Lee in the 30s, and one of them from the 50s. Yeah, so he's holding that one already, which is telling the body, hey, we're fixing the virus. Just keep holding on to it. Okay, it changes the field. All right, so what I'm gonna do is take supplements, and I'm gonna pull away from the field. I'm taking the supplement and pulling away, and his body says, I don't care that you're pulling it away. His arm stays strong. If his arm goes weak, it means, oh my God, bring it back, I need it back. Try again. See, try again, match me. See, so his body likes this. And that fixes lactic acidosis, and it provides energy, it increases energy. What's your blood pressure normally?
It's jumping around in circles really low.
It's really low?
Yes.
Okay, and that supplement is for people with lower blood pressure. So it makes sense.
I'm in 50s and 100s.
Yeah, this is one for people with, this one is for people with higher blood pressure, and his body doesn't want it. His arms stay strong as I take it away. This is called vascular. So there's that weakness right there. And the more I do it, the more collapse there is. So the more time, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds of this testing, his body's like, oh yeah, I need it back, and the arm goes weak. Okay, so just hold on to that. All right, so we just finished that one and that one. And now we're gonna do a little bit of this. So you kind of said something about brain fog or cloudy thinking or...
Just because I was an hour early today. No other reason. And I was sitting there thinking, I don't think I signed up for your class. I tried you online, but then I just couldn't get in with it. I had the wrong web address.
So some memory issues.
Oh.
Yeah, so here's brain support for those symptoms. Okay, what I want you, just turn your head a little bit to the left, that way you get to your cerebellum. I'm gonna pull away like this from the cerebellum, and his body goes, oh my God, I need B brain. That's what this one's called, B brain. All right, so hold that. I'm gonna do one more.
You got a bucket?
Turn your head that way, match me. So this is a fish oil, doesn't test for that. And I can stop right there. So look, with 3 supplements, we got this under control, at least for now, plus with whatever else you're doing. And that under control, and something here to help out here. Cool, does that make sense? All right, thanks. You
Done?
can have a seat, yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming up and being a guinea pig. All right, quit, yeah.
Is the time of day making difference in muscle testing?
No,
Just what make it?
at the time of day. Okay, let's do this again with somebody else, this time laying down. Elaine, are we good? Now, I could start off anywhere here. So what I'm gonna do, just for kicks, without asking any questions about your health, I'm gonna look for lactic acidosis. And the way I'm gonna do it is take these supplements and just pull away from your heart. So the heart represents all the muscles in the body. It's the one muscle that always has to keep going. It doesn't ever have a break. And when you have lactic acidosis, the one organ that is most affected first is muscles, because you have so many pounds of muscles, right? As opposed to the thyroid's only this big. Okay, so nothing came up with that, which is good. I didn't bring all of them for that, but so give me one symptom that you have.
Circulation.
Okay, so that means cold hands, cold feet, or was it
No, just swelling.
swelling where?
One leg, left leg.
Left leg swelling. Okay, so if it was both legs, that might be heart, but one leg usually is more like a kidney issue. So knowing that, what I'm gonna do is just grab these vials for organs, and I'm gonna grab kidney, bladder, arteries, heart, lymphatic. So here's a lymphatic system vial. I'm gonna put it in the armpit, because there's a lot of lymph nodes there, and the arm stays strong, so that's not an issue. Next I'm gonna do arteries. You said left, correct? Okay, bend this knee up. Yeah, that'll work. So this is arteries. And then of course we can't forget about diet. Diet being like the #1 cause of disease in this country. How's your diet?
Pretty good.
Okay, good. So this is the heart vial. That's not weak. I didn't do kidney yet. Okay, kidney, match me. So that's mushy. That's a kidney issue. And I'm holding it against the ankle, or I could do the foot. How about the knee? No, see, his arm is strong with the knee. And then I can hold it up against the left kidney, and that's weak. How about the right kidney? They're both weak. So, to keep testing, I'm gonna just put this in your chute. Here, I'll do it on the front. There, see that? So now his arm's just gonna be weak. Ready?
Yeah.
It's mushy. All right, so there's a problem, and I found it. And so now let's fix it. Okay, so with this particular situation, I'm dealing with this, the organs. Now I'm gonna jump over here. I'm gonna jump over to the causes. You see how the thinking is? Do you get what I'm doing here? Yeah? Not really? Okay, so I'm gonna grab various vials and hold them up against this area. Bring your arm down some. I'm looking for the arm to go strong. So nothing there shows up. Not there. Not there. So these are bugs, fungus, bacteria, virus. Parasites, try again. That's parasites. See how his arm gets strong? So there's some parasites going on that need to be eliminated. And the actual name of the vial, this one. It's called Parasite Eggs 2. So we got this is number 1, this is number 2, and it's
Where would the parasites come from?
living on planet Earth, eating food, drinking water, walking barefoot in sand or soil, touching an animal, breathing air. Everybody's got it. Pretty much everybody's got it. You just have to detox or do an anti-parasitic program sometimes. Okay, so let me grab some supplements. I brought 2 of my favorites and a few others. Okay, so we just have the kidney thing there, and I can actually add, well, let me just add these, this is called Para 1 and Para 2, holding it right up against there, and that's nice and strong. Is it one or is it both? Here's Para 1, and that is weak. Here's Para 2. So this Para 2 supplement will fix the kidney so the swelling goes away. So I'm going to put this right here, add that to his body, add that to the field. I'm going to recheck this Para 1, and Para 1 is still weak. So it's not a part of the solution. Okay, let me check a few other things that I brought here. This is called wormwood. This kills parasites. Try again. There's a little bit of extra strength there, but no, that was weak. And then I mentioned the word drainage. So you kill something and then you drain it out. This is drainage. Ready? So no on that. And I'd probably have 4 or 5 here only. This one's good. Okay, I'm gonna add that right there. And let me check one more just because I'm curious. And that one's not. Alright, cool. So now I could think. So I could add a little bit of organ support for the kidneys. So I got a couple of kidney supplements right here. And that is not strong. And this one right here. That's, no. Can you see it? Can you see the arm? How? And here's another one. This is good. This is called KDIR, K-D-I-R, which stands for kidney diuretic. Sort of like flush the kidneys out. All right, cool. So I got these 3 supplements in the field on his body. The fields are reading each other, and these 2 vials are no longer an issue. His arm is strong as I add it to the ankle and stuff like that. So what's super interesting in the physics of the whole fractographic universe theory is that you've heard of black holes, you've heard of wormholes and stuff like that. It's all true. What's really interesting is you take in space a field, it's like a big sphere, and there's a center. And from the center out to the outer edge of that field, it could be this big, it could be the size of the galaxy. There's wormholes that go back and forth from the edge to the center. And there's communication in there. In the energy field itself has communication unto itself. Okay? And so one time, I had a patient, I started muscle testing her, and I had a supplement, and I started pushing on her arm, and I brought the supplement into her field, and she goes, ouch. And I said, what was that? She goes, that hurt my toe. Like it was out here, and it hurt her toe that she had broken 6 weeks earlier. I was like, okay, so I entered into her field, and there's that wormhole that goes boom. See what I'm saying? Her body didn't want that supplement, and she felt it. So that kind of stuff is cool, and it happens. And for some people, it's really hard to believe, but I see this.
When you took those 3 things off his ankle, and then what happened?
The things, which things?
Those little hitch.
Yeah, the bad things.
Yeah.
His arm stayed strong. So at the very beginning, When they took the bad things and they added them to his ankle, his arm was weak.
So are you saying that everything's fine?
Right, 'cause then they found the 3 good things, put them here,
But then they have to flush them out?
retested the bad things, and his arm stayed strong, meaning like his body's okay with the bad things because we're gonna fix it. Yeah, you got that? Alright, cool. Alright, cool, thanks.
So you
Thanks for
take
your time.
those three supplements and you put them into one pill for
Yes.
one.
Yeah, no, so these are 3 separate supplements. So you'd be taking maybe 2 or 3 a day of these, 2 or 3 a day of these, and this one might be like 3 or 4 a day.
And
And he's on these for a few months, pair 2 maybe for 3 months, Cater for 5 or 6 months, ACP for, who knows, 3 to 6 months.
How do you know when to get off?
He gets better, and I do the muscle testing, and the body tells me when he's done with them.
You do the muscle testing periodically?
Yeah, every visit we do the muscle testing. It's a very good question. So I see people about 8 times in the first 3 months when they come here locally. When I do phone consultations, it's just talking about symptoms. And I have that survey, I got that 7-page, follow the physiology survey. So yeah, but when people are coming in the office, there's this procedure that we do to get the best information that we possibly can. And of course, we're still looking at lab tests. I still order lab tests. I order imaging. You know, patient, of course, I'm taking a full history, so I get what, you know, what their past was. I'm not trying to just go blindly and rely on the muscle testing. It's a full, complete input of data into my brain, into our brain.
he was talking about swelling in one leg.
Right. Which was his kidney, which is what we found this
Yeah.
kidney.
And Paula Boyd goes up in there and your socks are too tight and all that, that's just all kidney.
In his example, the left ankle swelling up is his kidney. I can't tell you the mechanism exactly how, but clinically that's what it turns out to be.
Now, over that 3-month period, his swelling would go down.
Yeah, that's the idea. And it may take 6, it may take a year, who knows?
But
I
you
left my
can't fix it
crystal
in
ball
that.
at home, but my disco ball is right there in the corner.
Okay.
And we could light that up and then we're done. What's that?
What kind of ball is that?
I got a disco ball right there.
That's a joke.
Oh.
But it's right there, I'm not joking. Question?
Okay, how many hours you need to be certified in your muscle testing?
How many what?
How many hours, classes?
Oh, to do this?
Yeah, certified.
Well, I mean, there's weekend seminars across the country if you tap into the right companies and training, you know, and then you just keep going and you just get better. There's no like, I mean, this is a lifetime. This is 20 years. Yeah. I really think it took me 5 years to be good at getting the arm, to feel what the arm's doing. Every day for 5 years I'm pushing on people's arms. I was like a zealot about it.
So that right and left arm doesn't make a difference.
No, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, another question?
What's the difference between the laying down and the standing up?
Not much difference now, but there is a difference in that laying down, it's more rest and repair, parasympathetic nervous system. Standing up is more fight or flight, activity, motion, action, sympathetic nervous system. So then I'll do both, and I help people sit, which is a combination of the two. Okay.
You're reading.
Yeah, you had a question?
Yes, you were talking about detoxing earlier.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, what do you do to detox?
You take pills.
Oh, alright.
That's it. Yeah.
You feel energy in here from everybody. You say that, you know, it's generated from me to you to whatever, right?
Right, yeah, and and you can get, so there's energy all around from various people, and you can train yourself to be very in tune with that. I try not to. I stick with the physical, and the biochemistry, and I'm not gonna try to feel somebody's emotions, you
Well,
know.
you know, when you did muscle testing, then you had your assistant come in, and she had a hand on your shoulder. So what you were saying is the energy from me was going into her, and you could still read it.
Right, yeah, so what you're talking about is using somebody else's arm
That's right.
to test the patient, so that's still an example of the
Got it.
circuit. So you can have 3 people in the circuit.
When do you decide to do that?
When somebody's arm hurts, so if their shoulder, or if they have fibromyalgia, or a broken arm, or whatever, I'll just use somebody else's arm. Or if they're talking a lot. The patient's talking. I saw that guilty face, so I was like, oh my God, he's talking about me. It's okay.
You were in here today.
Okay, another question?
I do.
Yeah.
You tested me for stress one time using muscle testing. Can you kind of explain that?
For stress, so when I test organs and I find, for example, the frontal lobe, that could be stress. The tip of the tongue, if that goes weak, that's stress. Adrenals. So you can kind of determine what a person's body is going through by what you find with the muscle testing. So I remember one time I was teaching in LA and there's this woman on the table and I found thyroid, adrenals, uterus, and pituitary. There's 4 endocrine organs. And I said, do you feel like your endocrine system has collapsed? And she goes, oh yeah. You know, like it's obvious, like she's exhausted all the time and her life is a mess and her emotions are all over the place. But we're gonna repair the organs. So, you know, I've been healthy all my life until the black mold. So I could take enormous amounts of stress and just deal with it. But once I got black mold, I couldn't watch a movie unless it was a chick flick. And I remember I flew to Utah for a seminar and I'm trying to pick a movie. It's like, that's violent, that's drama, that's action, I couldn't watch them because I would feel bad inside. I would get more anxiety, like what you feel with whatever, you know. So that's stress, that's stress. Yeah.
If you get away from the mold, does it automatically, for a period of time, correct itself?
Not necessarily, that's a very good question. So the first step is to get away from the mold. So you're not being reinfected. And then you gotta kill the mold in your body, you gotta drain out the dead mold, and you gotta detox the spores, and you gotta detox the mycotoxins. So when you have mold growing in the walls, or under the bed, or in the bathroom, or on the tub, it releases...
Carpet works really good for that too.
Huh?
Where?
Carpet, yeah. It releases spores, and on the spores are mycotoxins. You breathe it in, the mycotoxins kill your tissue, and then the mold grows on dead tissue. So anyways, step 1 is removing yourself from the mold or removing the sores. Then you gotta deal with it that way. But there are people who just genetically, they just can't detox very well at all.
And then what happens? How long
Heavy
can
nutritional
the mold
support.
stay in your body? Forever?
Forever. Yeah, it's a race. It's a competition, you versus mold. That's your life on planet Earth when it comes to the physical, right? I mean, I'm not talking relationships, and I'm talking about how are you going to stay alive. Mold wants you dead, and guess who wins? Mold always wins. The question is, how long can you go before it puts you down? And then once you're down, once you're dead,
Who cares?
mold wins.
Yeah.
It comes in, it eats up your body, and it returns your body back to the soil. Just like a dead log in the forest with the mushrooms growing on it. That's what mold does, it returns tissue like that to the soil. So you gotta be victorious against mold as long as possible.
How about people that eat refrigerated food that's been there for a week?
And they're eating mold?
I don't know if it's...
I would throw it away. You want it fresh. It's gotta pass the smell test. Just like the laundry, right? Guys do the smell test with the laundry. Yeah, it's got to pass the smell test and the taste test. Okay, other questions?
Well, what's your opinion of the digestive pill? What's your opinion of digestive pill?
I'm a fan of whatever helps the human body get better. We got a ton of digestive pills. We got support for the stomach, pancreas, pituitary, gallbladder, small intestine, large intestine, microbiome. So this is the thing that we do with the muscle. So if somebody goes, oh, my stomach hurts, we do the muscle testing to find out, is it your small intestine? Which organ is it? It could be pituitary. You know, so then it could be the microbiome, so we do the muscle, then we fix it. So that's why I'm demonstrating, because,
Can you do your own muscle testing?
no, I don't do that,
But
I use somebody's
can
arm.
someone tell, you know, if the body's talking to them by learning how to muscle?
Well, yeah, you could, I've seen people do that and they're experts at it, and their health is a mess. Because you gotta have the knowledge, right? They can be a good technician and they're testing themselves, but without this,
Got it.
you're completely lost. So the more knowledge you have, the better you are in all realms when it comes to healthcare. So that's the whole point with the follow the physiology. Okay? Now some people come in and their diet is the most important factor that we work on, and it's 90% of their health improvement. For other people, it's supplements, because their diet's been good for 10 years. And their health improvement is going to be 90% supplements. And then other people are 50-50. Okay, so, and I have some people come in and I don't give them any supplements and we're just working on diet, or maybe I just give them a few things. And other people, they've been in ketosis, or their diet's really clean, but they're toxic with parasites and heavy metals, so that's where the supplements come in. Okay? And with the 3-month membership, we set it up a few years ago that it's a 3-month membership when you come here. And the point is, at the end of 3 months, we want you to know that you're better, like you feel it, you know. So we've had people say, well, I'll give you a month. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. You know, so in 3 months, if you're 10% better, fantastic. If you're 90% better, fantastic. At least you know that you're on the right track. Then after that, it just goes like visit per visit, or we have a prepaid package. So we have people sticking around for as long as it takes to get back up to where they want to be. And then we do like support, sort of maintenance visits too. As much as I want to keep demonstrating, because I've done a weekend seminar for doctors. I've done 77 weekend seminars to 3,500, almost 4,000 doctors in my career. I could go for 12 hours. I know it's like 8:11, and so we can end it right here. All right, cool. So if you want to become a patient, if you're not a patient, you can talk to Yelena. And I don't know if anybody's up there that's Yelena. Okay, cool. All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you.